Okay. You people can hear, right? Okay. All right. So we'll begin with the session. Just allow me a few seconds more. Um, I'll just introduce you to some odd reason the camera isn't working. Let's check if it is. Just a minute. Uh, okay. Good evening, everyone. So we'll be starting with the session in like another 5 minutes. I'll not have the camera on all the time because we do not need it. And I do not want the network to go unstable because of the, video being on. So I'll just maybe talk to you for 2 or 3 minutes about what we are going to do for the 3 sessions. Right, so this is going to be a workshop in professional writing, and this is going to be done in 2 parts, right? So this is the first part, right? In the first part for today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, that is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 to 6. That is 2 hours each, total of 6 hours. We are going to be dealing with professional email writing, right? So this is going to be part one. There's also going to be a part two for professional writing workshop, for which we are going to be doing report writing, right? So as of now, these two are the ones that we've planned for you guys. If time permits, and if we have some more time left by the end of the semester, and if there are other logistics properly in place, then we can take up one more of this, right? But as of now, we are going to have 2 parts of the professional writing workshop, right? So for the workshops, we're going to be doing mostly, so yes, like email. How are we going to do that? Of course, because it's a workshop, there's going to be some hands-on activities, which means I'll talk to you about a few things that you need to keep in mind while you write emails or report or whatever the topic that we're taking up. And then we're also going to work on a few exercises so that you understand how these things work, right? Yeah. So mostly like a tutorial, right? So I'm going to be talking about a few things and then we're going to be working on a few questions. So that's going to be the modus operandi for the workshop. That's how I think all the workshops are usually conducted. So even for this one, that's how we're going to be doing, right? So today it's in synchronic movement. So I'm not going to say what all things I'm going to cover for today's class and tomorrow's and the afters. We'll take up as much as possible within the 2 hours today, and then continue with the rest for the tomorrow's class and then the day after. Okay, so that's more or less like that. Nothing. Nothing that I'm looking for is a prerequisite from you. As long as you're able to write sentences in English, it should be more than fine. Okay. So that's like a quick introduction to how we're going to, how and what of the workshop. And I'll share the slides with you in a short while. I hope you've understood how this is going to be done. Just allow me for 1 minute. I'll share the PPT with you. So once I start talking about it, I'm going to switch off the video so that there's no distraction for me, both me and you, right? Just confirm with me once you're able to see the slide clearly.
Yeah, ma'am, properly.
Yeah,
Yes,
you can
ma'am.
see? Oh, all right. Thank you. I think this is more than enough. Maybe I'll just zoom it a little bit. That's okay. All right. So just going to be switching off the video. I'll come back. Once we are done talking about this, we can have the camera on again. Okay. See, we're going to be looking at a few introductory slides for the session, right? So, to begin with, we are going to look at what professional writing is, right? So, I think in the beginning few slides, we are going to talk about what we mean by professional writing. How is it different from the other forms of writing? And a little bit of a comment on how the language and the structure and everything else looks in a professional write-up that you present, right? So keep in mind, anything that is written in a professional space, anything that is written in a formal space. So professional, the moment I say professional, you need to automatically assume, or anybody would automatically assume that we're talking about formal writing, right? So we are concerned about formal writing whenever we talk about professional writing, right? So this is a written communication that you compile at a workplace. So largely people would say that professional writing is anything that is written at the workplace. But it needn't be like that. Maybe the larger definition looks like this, but then what we essentially mean by professional writing is formal writing, right? Whether that you write it at a workplace or you write it in some other kind of professional setting, or any other forms of media. What we mean by professional writing is basically formal writing, right? We all know about social media, right? These days, all of us use social media. So, do people not professionally write in social media? Yes or no? Or do you think, all writing in social media is, something more creative or something that is not professional? What do you think about the social media writing? Do you think social media also has professional writing? What's your opinion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, example, can you give me like few examples of how social media is also considered a space for professional writing?
Ma'am, for example, announcement of events, they
Okay.
formally announce events on social medias like
Okay.
Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay.
Other than that, the presentation of their achievements in a formal way, many
Right.
people do that.
Mm. Right. So, social media also has spaces which would consider certain kind of writing as professional, right? So, for example, if I'm going to make a comparison between the posts that I see on Facebook, you're right. You're very well in pointing out that people use social media to, make announcement of events or maybe announcement of jobs, job postings, or I mean, the advertisement could be about anything, right? It could be of jobs, it could be of, it could be promotional in nature, it could be anything. But although all social media can be used in that regard, which one do you think will be a little more professional? Like if I'm using this particular social media platform, I am expected to be a little more professional in nature. What would be it? It's just all of us have it. All of us have profiles on that. If we don't, then we
LinkedIn,
should.
ma'am.
LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is like a way more professional zone or something. Whenever you're posting something on LinkedIn, even if it is interesting, people would expect you to write more professionally, right? It's not like your usual Instagram or Facebook for that matter, right? People do use these platforms as well for all purposes that we just mentioned. However, LinkedIn is like a more professional space than anything else, right? In addition to this, we also have bloggers, right? Blogging, I don't know how popular that is among today's generation, but at least for people who are one generation older or two generation older, blogging was like one of the main space where people used to explore professional writing, right? There were people who used to write literary writings in blogs also, but many, technical experts, scientists, they were all known to have maintained their blogs, right? So this was again another space where you could see glimpses of or flavor of professional writing, right? Now it has paved way to spaces like LinkedIn or maybe even Twitter, right? Twitter is a little different, but still we can say that, in certain domains of Twitter, professional writing is still a thing, right? Not everywhere. Is known to create more problems than, being useful to people. But still, there are people who would use Twitter for professional networking too. Okay. So just a quick look at, where all you can locate professional writings in case you're looking for samples of these in our social media platforms. Somebody has sent a message. There are... Yes, correct, Shaurya, that's right. So these are some of the spaces, like the same platform can also be used to express things more professionally, and you can use it more socially also, but not like, certain platforms like LinkedIn would keep it more professional than others. Okay, although the Instagram favor is catching up with the LinkedIn generation also. That's just just says there's too much of presence of younger generation on LinkedIn too, and they probably do not understand how to handle that platform. So these days I see a lot of Instagram like posts on LinkedIn also, although it is not something that is really appreciated. Okay, all right. So this is from our experience of how professional writings are seen, or the spaces of professional writing in social media. In the very traditional sense of the term, professional writing is basically written communication that you can find in professional domains or formal domains, right? Anything that is written and documented, for example, reports or memos or emails, proposals. I don't know how common memos are these days. Again, a while ago, memos used to be a thing in the office space. But now memos are not handed over as letters, I guess. They're not anymore. Most of the memos are just sent off, using an email, right? So initially that was not the case. You used to get like it used to look like a challan. If you've seen what a challan is. So a short paper, it looks like a notice paper. So this was handed over to the staff in an organizational setup. But now emails have taken over. So even if it's a memo, it's just simply sent across through an email. Okay. So memos, reports, emails, proposals, manuals, presentations, and by presentations we mean formal presentations. Okay, not any presentation. All of these then amount to what we mean by professional writing, or these are some of the major forms of professional writing, okay, major kinds of professional writing. What are they characterized by? How do we differentiate it from the other forms of writing? In fact, we have another slide which talks about the differences. But to begin with, to identify something as a professional write-up, you'll have to see if the write-up has good enough clarity, is accurately combined, right? Accuracy means both of language and of content, right? Both content and the language needs to be accurate. It should be clear. It must be concise. Okay, this is a very important feature as far as professional writing is concerned. It has to be concise. Okay, you don't have all the space in the world to write down all what you want. Whatever your topic is, whatever your purpose is, it needs to be conveyed to the reader or the speaker as concisely as possible, right? Because this is professional, this is formal. People don't have time. People cannot give you that kind of space to go on writing or saying what you want. Whatever you need to write or speak needs to be concise, right? Brevity then is a very, very important skill that one requires to write something professional, right? And then adherence to specific conventions and standards. Yeah, anything that is professionally or formally written will have to follow a certain template, right? Sometimes there is a common generic template that people use. Sometimes, depending on your organizations, you get a template which you're required to use while drafting your professional writing, right? So whatever the case is, there is certainly some kind of conventions and standards which the writer or the speaker is required to adhere to, right? So all of this put together make up the elements of professional writing. Okay, so that is about what we mean by professional writing. Now, quickly, the differences between professional and literary writing. Actually, in fact, sometimes I feel like what I should be doing with the slide is giving you a difference between what technical writing and professional writing is, than giving you literary and professional, because I think it's quite clear. I don't even have to tell you how professional is different from literary writing. But the reason I don't bring in technical and scientific or research writing here is because there are too many overlaps between all the three, right? So whether that is technical or research writing or scientific writing or professional writing, there are differences, but then most of the points that you are going to read under professional writing is going to overlap with the ones there. So in order to make the difference more, prominent, so that you can see clearly what professional writing is or what professional writing is not, I have decided to put up literary writing. Okay, so do not guess that, why did she bring up something that is obviously different from professional writing. The reason is this, yeah? The reason is to show you, make you help prominently distinguish between both of them. More than distinguishing between literary writing and professional writing, the purpose is to show you what would not be considered as professional writing. Okay, so that's the idea, that it's being differentiated along literary writing and not technical and scientific writing. Okay. But keep in mind, technical and scientific writings are also a little bit of different when compared to professional writing, but there are overlaps. Okay, but that thing for some other time. Okay, we're not going to bring it up now and confuse. Okay, so what is professional writing? I'm just going to read everything under professional writing first and then go to what literary writing is. We don't have to do A, B, A, B. Let's just finish all the A and then the B. Okay. So specific information, professional writing manages specific information. And why does it manage specific information? So as to take suitable action. So anything that you write professionally is not without a purpose, right? Something, it expects the reader or, the listener to take some kind of action onto what you have presented, whether that is in speech or writing. Okay, we are concerned with writing for our sessions, but this is also applicable to speech. Okay, so whatever you write, it has a purpose. It is purpose driven. It is not something that you can just create from thin air and just pass it off to somebody. It needs to have a fairly defined purpose, and it should be written so as for the reader or the listener to take a suitable action for what you've written. So this is one of the major difference that you would find between the literary and the professional. Literary, it doesn't expect anybody to take any actions. This is mostly written, the creative constructions which are written just to entertain people, right? More for the sake of pleasure. This is not expected. Nobody is expected to take any action on what you read in a novel or a drama or so on and so forth, right? But professional writing is more for taking actions. It's usually written to inform or instruct. Sometimes it is simply passing on an information. Sometimes it's also to instruct the person to take an action. Sometimes it can also be to persuade the person to take an action, right? So we look at this, what this inform, instruct, persuade means in a short while. So mostly this put together, if I have to summarize, I'll say that this is a purpose-driven writing. It needs to have some kind of a purpose, right? You don't simply write an email in a professional space to someone. You need to have a reason to write that email. Okay, that's the reason. As far as language is concerned, the language in professional writing needs to be direct, right? So no roundabout method of presenting a fact, or no circumlocutory writing. We call it circumlocutory writing. Which basically means, using too many indirect expressions, right? Instead of saying A is B, you're saying A was a part of B, but now it is not a part of C, but then, you go on writing about it unnecessarily. So this is called circumlocutory writing, right? I'll give you examples of that in a short while once we reach the language part. But in professional writing, this kind of circumlocutory writing, roundabout writing as it is called, is completely frowned upon, right? The reason being, if you're going to write like that, it's going to create situations of ambiguity, right? People would be confused. The meaning, there are high chances that the meaning gets lost in all this purpose. And given that professional space or formal space is a very restricted space, right? There are people who are involved in these kind of works, they do not have time. So if you're going to write, if you're going to write too many indirect expressions, if you're not going to be factual about what you're writing, then it creates confusions for people. And since this is also something that is written so that people can take suitable actions, this action can be delayed because of all this lost meaning, right? For that purpose, the language is required to be direct, factual, specific, and straightforward. okay, in professional writing. Unlike literary writing, where you have the freedom to use as many indirect expressions or figures of speech as you require, right? You use metaphors, you use your imagination to bring in creativity, use hyperbole, any forms of indirect expressions, even, using dialects of languages or self-invented languages, all of that is permitted in creative writing or in literary writing. But that's not the case with official writing for obvious reasons, okay? Now, as far as word choice is concerned, again, in professional writing, it is always advised that you use technical vocabulary, right? For example, say you are writing to a colleague in your organization about a certain project that you're a part of, okay, whatever the situation is. You are allowed to use technical jargon, right? Why are you allowed to use technical jargon or technical vocabulary? Because you work in the same project, you work on the same project, you work in the same organization, you're familiar with the project, the other person also knows what you're talking about. So it is okay to use specialized vocabulary, right? The meaning is not going to be lost because you are familiar or people are working on the same job. The audience, right? Whether one person or many people, they are familiar with your work. They are familiar about what the discussion is about. So using technical vocabulary is in fact recommended in such spaces. Okay, you don't have to oversimplify it. Use specialized expressions so that people can follow up immediately what you want, and you can also cut the clutter. Okay, if you don't use technical vocabulary, what usually happens is you will end up using 10 words instead of the 2 word that you were supposed to use. That will affect the conciseness of your writing or your speech, and eventually it can lead to the loss. Eventually can lead to the loss of meaning, right? Since the audience is specialized, you don't have to bother yourself too much. You can simply go ahead and use the technical words or technical specialized vocabulary in that area. Okay, that is one thing. Then simple sentences, right? Keep your sentences very simple. Use short sentences. Don't write very, very long sentences while you're constructing a sentence in professional writing. Keep your tone impersonal and objective. Now, what does this tone mean? When you speak, we have certain tones, right? I don't know if you're aware of the different kinds of tones. Can you tell me some of the tones that you're aware of? When you talk, what is the most common kinds of tones that we use?
Ma'am, there is this... there is a normal tone. There is a tone which emphasize that we are asking a question. There is an angry tone which reflects on the emotion we are having. There is a tone in which a person is very excited in describing what he or she is describing.
Correct. So if I understand you right, you basically are saying that we are able to make voice modulations to convey your emotions, right? That's what I think you meant.
Yes, ma'am.
So we categorize this as, rising tone, falling tone, and neutral or flat tone, right? When you are instructing, sometimes depends, right? If you're angry, then probably you use a rising tone, right?
Rising tone.
Yes. Sometimes if you're emotional also, you use a rising tone, right? But if you're neutral about something, it is neither rising nor falling. You're simply going to keep it flat. If you are confirming something, then I think you use rising tone. If you're confirming something, then you use a rising tone. If you're only expecting people to agree with you, something like, say a question tag, right? You're merely confirming something. You're sure that this is the answer or this is the solution. But just for the sake of confirmation, you ask something, you usually use a falling tone, right? You question somebody again, like you mentioned, you use a rising tone. So the point here is that when we talk, right, when we use our voice to communicate with people, it's easier for us because, we can make all these modulations of voice and tone and pitch and rhythm and all that to convey our exact emotions, right? But in writing, again, although our voice box or vocal cords are not in hand with us to convey the tones, we can still convey our tone using the language in which we write, right? So language has the capacity to encode the tone in which you want to deliver a message, right? You can modulate your language or your expressions in such a way that you can convey a tone that is more intellectual in nature, convey a tone that is ironic in nature, or you can even use the language to modify and convey that something is, more personal in nature, right? So, using the words or using the expressions in a given language, you're able to construct sentences in such a way that it can carry a tone alongside, right? Now, this is most of the times applicable to other forms of writing. In professional writing, however, this tone is always muted, right? You ensure that you do not have any tone as such. And even if you are employing any tone, then it has to be more objective, okay, and more impersonal, right? So there should be no flavors of personal affairs in the tone that you use for professional writing. It needs to be as objective as possible. How do you bring about impersonal and objective tone? The answer is in the third point here, right? Which is by using language that is more direct, factual, specific, and straightforward. Okay, so any language or any expression that is more direct and factual, specific, and straightforward obviously will have a personal and impersonal and objective tone. Okay, I'll show you how all of these things work. For the time being, just keep this in mind that the tone has to be objective and impersonal. The word choice has to be more specialized, like use technical vocabulary. Sentences needs to be simple. Language is to be direct, factual, specific, and straightforward. Okay, so this is what the language part of the professional writing is going to look like. Okay, and who is this written for? Obviously, this is what we have been discussing all this while. That of course, professional writing is written for a specific audience. It's not for the masses, right? It's not a mass-produced material. It's not written for everybody and anybody, right? Written for a more specialized audience, a more learned audience, or someone who is familiar with what you're writing. Okay, I don't have to go over the literary writing, right? You understand what it is. So it's basically exactly the opposite of that, right? It is something that's written to entertain and amuse. It includes creative constructions. There's use of figurative language or metaphors and a lot of other techniques that help you write or present things more interestingly or in such a way that it can entertain and pleasure people, right? And unlike your professional writing, it appeals to emotions. So the tones in literary writing could be ironic to intellectual to emotional, right? Any kind of tones that can elicit your emotions can be used in literary writing, right? Complex sentences, definitely. Complex sentences of all orders are permitted in literary writing. Dialects are allowed. Linguistic ambiguities are allowed, right? Sometimes ambiguities are purposefully given in order to create some kind of an amusement in writing, right? For example, you can use non-words, right? Or what is also called as noise, okay? Non-words means words which otherwise don't have any meaning. Cartoons, right, is a space where you'll see all kinds of words that are used. Some of them don't even have any meaning, right? So all of that creative liberty is allowed in literary writing, but this is not the case of professional writing, okay? So this is by and large the difference between the professional and literary writing, okay? Any questions? I hope this is clear. All right? Okay. So moving on, so from what we have discussed till now, this is what we are going to summarize. So if you're asked what are the elements of writing skills in professional writing, then the first point is your writing has to be more clear and concise. The writer also needs to have audience awareness, because if you do not have audience awareness, you do not know what style or what kind of language, what choice of words or expressions should you use. Third thing is tone and style, the one that we just discussed. And of course, no prize for guessing, grammar and mechanics, right? Grammar and mechanics, of course, is very, very important professional writing. Before you hand over anything that is professionally written, right? You need to ensure that the language, the grammar, and the mechanics, everything is in place, right? Because once you've done it, this is a documented material. It doesn't look good when people take it off one day and see it fully wrought with grammatical errors, right? These days it's easy because you have all kinds of, softwares that help you correct these, right? However, the suggestion is that we also learn to write on our own and correct these mistakes on our own so that we learn, right? We can depend on software, so Grammarly or Langpill. There are many other things that's available in the market now. But while we use them, also make it a point that we learn from whatever corrections that these softwares do, right? Because eventually it is important that we learn, okay? So this constitutes the four main elements that must be ensured while you write anything professional, okay? Now, additional features would include formatting and layout. Anything that is professionally written, we'll have to check for formatting and layout. The document type that is allowed. What is this document type? What do you think it would be? Formatting and layout, this is sometimes, as I mentioned, it could be generic. Sometimes it could be organization specific, right? So some organization will have, so for example, they sent off everything using an organization signature. These days they have e-signatures to do that. In the earlier times, we used to have something called a letterhead, right? Every business firm or organization used to use something called a letterhead. All official confidential messages used to be sent through using this letterhead. These days, mostly people rely on the electronic medium, but then they also have electronic signatures so that the authenticity and credibility is ensured, right? What do you mean by document types? What are document types?
Ma'am, we just saw them in the recent PPTs, like reports, memos, emails, proposals,
Okay,
etc.
document type. Okay, is that what document type means? Anything besides that?
The kind of, the CSV format, those kind of things.
Sorry, did not hear you.
Text.
Somebody. Text. Actually, the answer is right. We can call it text type or document type. Document type simply means, like he was mentioning, it simply means the category or a specific format in which a written piece is delivered, right? Which includes report, email, letter, proposal, resume, press release, user manual, contract, or some other kind of policy documents, right? All of those are document types. Now, why is it included? Because all of this has like a separate, not a template, but it has a very different structure, right? So document types, because of the differences in the structures of each of these, formats, right? Report has a different, it's a different kind of a document. Email is a different kind of a document. Letter is a different kind of a document. Proposal and report, although they look more or less the same, again, they have differences in their document type. Okay. Press release and a normal advertisements are very different from each other, right? So each of them then account for different document types. Document types basically means the difference in the structure of each of these items. Okay. Research and citation, third one. All document that is professionally produced or all document that is written professionally has to necessarily have research involved in that. It is not an ordinary document. Whatever you're going to write in that has to be accurate and factual. And if it needs to be accurate and factual, it needs to be well researched, right? And if you're using other secondary sources or tertiary sources to compile the document, that it is compulsory that you also give references and citations to what documents you've used, right? So reports, for example, larger reports, if you have any time had a chance to read, official reports, like, annual reports or not a feasibility report and all that, something that is more voluminous, right? Like an annual report or like a not a work report, a study report, right? Something that is conducted by
The recent World Economic Forum report.
Yes, World Economic Forum. Very good. Something that is usually conducted, a very easy example would be the reports that are compiled by, say, governmental departments, right? For example, we have we have the Niti Aayog, right? Niti Aayog looks after most of the developmental projects in the country, cultural as well as economic, and on, they compile reports for all of this. So if you visit the website of Niti Aayog, they periodically, very regularly upload the reports of various studies conducted or various policies implemented in education, healthcare, maternal healthcare. Even within healthcare, they'll have like different branches, or IT sector, right? Non-formal economy, formal economy. All of these reports, if you look at them, they're pretty voluminous, right? So it's not like your usual 3 or 4 page report. They sometimes run into volumes, right? Some reports could be 100, 200 pages long, because they're essentially the report of studies that are conducted, right? Long surveys, so on and so forth. So that kind of reports, obviously they are not self-compiled. You definitely need documents to be studied to compile documents, compile reports of that nature. All of them are going to follow very strict formats, and they're basically research documents. Okay, somebody is presenting their research report. You can also call them research report. All of them are going to essentially and very, very importantly carry citations, right? Because it's not something that you've done on your own. You have made yourself dependent on other sources, secondary, tertiary, to compile this, which is why giving credits and showing the sources of your information is very, very important. Which is why citation, right? Even in emails these days, right? When you're discussing certain things online, if something is not your contribution, you're ideally required to credit the original developer or the writer or whoever it is, right? So, which is why citations are very, very important these days in professional documents. Some of them, of course, not all of them. Memo will not have a citation for sure. Then editing and proofreading, more of, the mechanics of writing, professional ethics, adaptability, right? All of these are additional features which one can consider while we compile anything that is a professional writer, okay? Okay, so that is like a quick introduction to what professional writing or what happens in professional writing would be. Now we'll start talking about one such kind of writing, which is emails, okay, professional emails. Now, for this session, this part on emails, I have what I have on my slides and what I'm going to be discussing with you for the next 2 days, including today. You would see a lot of things that are like basics, right? So starting with, how you write a professional email, which includes, something from salutation to the, complimentary close part in an email. Everything is taken one by one and explained. And there is a reason for that. There are many of us who know how to do these things, but then an equal number of people, or not, if not more, also do not know how to do this, right? Because we read emails every day and we also see emails which look like really, really, really terrible, right? So in the educational setup, when it comes to teachers or professors, they are still a little forgiving, okay? They do not mind. But in an organization, especially when you're going to go and work, they are not going to be very forgiving with this, right? And communication skills, both speaking and writing. And if you're a professional, then your ability to write well is also very, very important, right? We know we live in the age of, all these AI interfaces, wherein you can just go type in your needs and, have a full length treatise generated. While all that exists, you will also find yourself in situations where that is not possible. So it's always in your best interest that you learn at least the basics of how to put together a document properly. And something as important and, common as an email, right? This is something that you're going to do. This is going to be a part of your life every day as a professional, right? So we look at it, every part of it very clearly and in detail, so that we understand. Tomorrow you don't have a space to say that, oh, I did not know this is how it works, okay? So We don't have to talk too much about what emails are, okay? Of course, emails have taken up, what letters used to do before, right? So initially, like I was mentioning, letters written on the letterheads of the organizations used to be the methods in which you used to convey confidential information to people. But these days, emails have replaced almost all of those tasks, because this is the quickest form of formal communication. Oh, by the way, emails are also used by people for informal communication. But by and large, if you look at it, then emails are mostly formal. Okay, you don't go to an email, inbox, or you don't sit down to write or type an email unless you think that this is more professional or formal in nature, right? If it is informal, then most of us are going to anyway use WhatsApps and other messengers. Emails are chosen because we have come to a consensus now that this is more professional and formal nature, right? So anything that is formal and semi-formal in nature then can be used to communicate through an email. It works like a letter, but then it's quite shorter than a letter. We all know that, right? So formal letters, if we consider, we were allowed to write at least 150 to 200 words, right? At least 200 words were allowed if you consider official formal letters. But if you look at email, the length of the email is actually quite shorter. I would say it's actually less than half than what an official or a formal letter would be like, right? So I would say the standard number of words that usually people allow to write formal email is 60 to 80 words, right? Sounds very less, but then that's how it works, right? You ask anybody who's a business English expert, they'll tell you 60 to 80 words is what a formal email should be like, right? Anything more than that would be considered as a lack of conciseness in writing. So that's the case with email, right? Quite short, but okay, we do not maintain the strict word limit of 60 to 80. We allow people to go up to say 100 to 120, but nothing beyond that, okay? 100 to 120 would be the maximum, which is basically 3 or 4 lines, right? Nothing more than that. So whatever you are writing, you should have the ability, or if you do not, then you have to work on your language skills in such a way that you're able to present everything that you want in 3 to 4 sentences, maximum, okay? Nothing more than that. So that is where the catch of writing good emails or good professional emails lies, right? A lot of work is required at the language front, and particularly on how you can present something concisely. Concisely means using lesser number of words, right? Okay. Can be used to address any issue, including personal matters with appropriate language, tone, style. Okay, that's not applicable to us, but still, for the sake of information. Email writing etiquettes, right? That's also very, very important before we actually look at what the actual format or language choice or, so on and so forth. I have divided this into 3 different sets. So general guidelines, writing guidelines, and other guidelines. Okay. So general guidelines would obviously be following a proper email format, checking the recipient's name is correct or not, right? Does that look silly? Checking the recipient's name before you send off that email? What do you think?
No, ma'am, it's not silly. It's actually pretty important because
Important.
it can impact your first impression.
Correct. Have you ever sent a mail to a wrong person? Anybody here? Have you ended up sending an email to a wrong person? See, we all are not very important, right? So by which I mean, maybe we don't serve in very important positions. So probably the gravity of the situation of sending an email to a wrong person is not, not felt as such for us, right? But that's not the case with the people who are even, say not at very higher posts, but say they are even clerks at some offices, right? Clerks are very important people, right? Although people think that they come in the lower rung, so they are not very important. They're in fact, in any office, they're very, very important, right? Important because they hold the key to quite sensitive information sometimes, right? So if you're going to use you're not going to bother with who you're sending this email to, right? And if you send it off to a third party who's not related to your organization, in certain organization, this would be seen as or as almost equal to treason, right? Or what is also, I don't know what is the exact
Betrayal.
betrayal is one, but also, it would be seen as
corporate
Traitor?
espionage.
Oh, okay. Yeah, espionage is a very big word. Yeah, okay. Let's say we say espionage also. In the corporate, maybe yes. Okay. So this is not considered as an ordinary silly mistake, right? You will be you can be prosecuted for that because it's also considered as you're trying to leak information, right? So that's how important it is, and this is something that any official in an organization do on a day-to-day basis, which is sending an email. So double check before you press that send button that you're sending it to the right recipient, right? Because sometimes it's not just about losing jobs. Sometimes there can be all kind of low sweets on it, okay, because of what you have done. Even though you can always argue that, oh, this is a mistake, but this is a mistake sometimes that can cost an arm, right? So this is not as silly as it sounds. It's actually very important. Now, proofread the email, of course. Proofread the email before you send it because you do not want to look like a fool at the end of this, right? You send something with an obvious grammatical error, an obvious editing error, an obvious formatting error. People are not going to take you seriously after that, okay? Especially for students who, write for internships, people who write to professors for seeking admissions or seeking a spot for, say, PhD admissions or, anything. Or if you say, even if you're writing for a job, what you write will represent you till the day you go and present yourself in person, right? So one needs to make sure that your writing is well groomed before it goes out to that person. So proofread always. Writing guidelines, use emojis or emoticons, whatever you want to call them, very sparingly, right? Sparingly basically means don't use, okay? It doesn't mean that, okay, you can use a few. Sparingly, basically, the meaning is do not use at all. Professional emails do not allow, or they are completely against the use of. Professional write-ups are not supposed to be drafted along with, you can't pepper emojis in the emails or reports or anything that you write, okay? That's going to be quite frowned upon. People will not accept that at all. Shorthand only in specific circumstances, okay? So shorthand, say if the shorthand is a part of the technical vocabulary that you're using, and if you're sure that, the reader will understand and is also familiar with it and is also more universal in nature, then use shorthand. Otherwise, please do not use any kind of shorthands in professional writing, right? Whether that's email or anything else. Short and specific subject line, this is particularly for the email. We look at this part in detail when we are looking at the subject line part of the email, okay? So for the time being, keep your subject line short. That's the instruction. Email has to be concise. Use appropriate salutations. Do not ever forget to write salutations for your formal email. I've come across a lot of people who send in formal professional emails seeking assistantship, seeking internship, either without a subject line or without a salutation, right? So sending forth an email without a salutation is considered extremely rude and unprofessional. Please do not do that. Then appropriate writing tone, of course, right? Keep your professional emails professional. Don't use personal tones in that. Do not send an email to a professor asking, hello, sir, how are you doing? I hope you're doing fine. How's everyone at home? No. Okay. These kind of exchange of pleasantries are not required or absolutely should not be included in professional emails. Keep your professional emails to the point, right? Write exactly what you're writing for. Do not write anything beyond that. Okay. Other guidelines, use the email fields carefully and appropriately, which means, use your CC, BCC fields very carefully. Do not put, say you have to send an email to 50 people, out of which, 10 people are important, others are just only a part of that. Do not, email it to one important person and put everybody else in CC, right? Or everybody else in BCC. Right? BCC, I think, is still fine, but CC, please use sparingly, because this is also something that the receiver or the recipient can see, right? So if all the 10 people that were there were in the same level as far as hierarchy is concerned, people may not feel good about that. That you have put them, one person as the main recipient and then the rest of them as, CC. Because CC basically means that, okay, this is just for your information. Actually, this is not directly related to you. That's what CC means. Okay. So like, for example, I write something, I write an email to the head, CCing it to the coordinator, right? So I'll CC to the coordinator only if I feel like the coordinator is not like an actual party in this work, but the coordinator should also know, must be in the loop, right? But if it is something that the coordinator is also a part of, right, then I'll have to include both of those people as senders and not, one person in the CC. So these things are important. So use the fields carefully, appropriately. Respond to emails promptly. Yeah, don't sit with an email. Somebody sends you an email. We all sometimes do this with WhatsApp messengers, right? You see the message, but you do not reply. That's okay. That's like a more informal platform. But we all know the kind of problems that can happen sometimes, when you read messages and you don't respond, right? Some of us have our reader receipts switched off so that people don't know that you have read it, right? So we can avoid complications later on. But that is for WhatsApp messengers, which is more informal in nature, and nobody is, you're not obliged to immediately reply as far as informal messengers are concerned. But email is more professional in nature. So if you have received an email, make sure that you respond to it as soon as possible, right? There are actually specific time periods for a response based on, who you are writing to, in fact, right? So say you're writing to an external organization, then you can take about 2 to 3 days to respond to them in case you do not know how or what to write, right? But in that case, you will have to send them an interim email before, right? Saying that I have read your email. I do not have an answer at this moment. I will get back to you soon. And that soon has to be at least within 2 or 3 working days, okay, not more than that. If it is something from somebody from your organization, say somebody who is at your same level, you can maybe wait till the next day to respond to that. But if it is from somebody who is higher up in the organization that you work, then before the end of the day, you should be able to respond to that email, okay? So do not sit with the email. Make it a habit that you respond to it as promptly as possible. Then the last part, but also very important, avoid responding to emails if angry or non-composed. Okay, if you're not in a good state of mind, not good mood, angry, please do not write or send an email at that point. Please take some time off, cool off, and then send it off, because these are all documented materials. People can hold it against you later on, whatever you have, you cannot go and argue that, oh, I wrote that in a, I was upset, I wrote this in a fit of anger, is not, it's not the kind of argument, or is not the kind of reason or excuse that people are going to accept. So it's better, do not do that when you're angry or non-composed. Just wait, get a hold of yourself and then maybe compose and send off whatever you want. Okay. So these are the general writing etiquettes as far as email is concerned. Now we are moving on to the actual part, is the contents of a professional email. Okay.
Ma'am.
So, yes.
Ma'am, if we asked any question to someone, then they replied our question answer. So is it important to respond at that email or not? like saying thank you or something, or not?
No. Come again. What did you mean? I want to hear that again.
Like I asked some question to professor or some teacher by sending a email, and they replied to me. So I have to like respond that email or not, saying thank you or something or not.
Definitely. If they have helped you in answering some question or getting something clarified, obviously you will have to send them a thank you email, right? So you cannot just leave it at that. That is also part of the etiquette, right?
Okay,
Like
ma'am.
in
Thank
real
you.
life, if you're having a conversation and somebody helps you out with anything, obviously your conversation is going to end with a thank you, right? So the same etiquette is applicable to writing as well. Okay. So do that. Always make it a point that you send a thank you email in case this was something regarding you seeking some sort of information or some kind of help from someone. Okay. Right. So this is where we are going to actually start with the writing part. So what you see on screen is basically the contents of a professional email. Now, there has to be all or maybe say from 1 to 7 is very, very important in all professional emails. The last one, which is attachment, actually only attachment, not enclosures. That could be optional. Not all professional emails are going to carry an attachment, but everything from 1 to 7, right? All of those parts needs to be necessarily included in a professional email. No professional emails are complete or considered professional unless you have all the points starting 1 through 7. Okay. What are these? Subject line of the email, greetings, or what is also called as salutations. Purpose of the email, details, closing remarks, complimentary close, and signature, right? All the 7 of the parts are important as far as a professional email is concerned. 8th one is an attachment. If you require an attachment, make sure that you put in, but not all emails will have that, right? Now, enclosures are not part of emails. Enclosures are basically, this is a word that we used to use when we used to send letters to people. Okay. In the letter is or are enclosed following documents, right? Even today, when you send cover letter to companies, right, for jobs, sometimes you send in enclosures of your CV or your resume, or sometimes, your experience, copies of your experience certificates, recommendation letters. Okay. But these days, all the things are done anyway online. I don't think companies ask for hard copies of it. But before the electronic media age, whenever people had to apply for jobs or had to go for official interviews, people had to send in enclosures along with the application letter. So enclosures is mostly for the letters, okay, and emails it's attachments. It's just a same thing, but there's a difference in the word and expression. Enclosures for letters and attachments for emails. Okay, so that is that. But more importantly, on the slide, points beginning 1 to 7 is all of them are very, very important as contents of professional email. Okay, no professional email be considered professional without all the 7 of them. Okay. Next one, additional features of a professional email. Okay, not very important. This is, of course, a part of what we've already discussed as professional writing. So, professional tone and language, call for action, politeness, and respect. This is something that is part of, in general, all the professional writer. Okay.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yes. Yes.
Can you clear the part? Can you clear the please note part in the previous slide?
Which one? Oh, this one. For
Yeah.
emails of inquiry. Okay. Basically, this is if you're sending an emails for inquiring about something, right? So for example, say you want to place an order for something, some gadget. Okay, there's just an example. Okay. If you're placing an inquiry, then once this is the question that I think Ananya was asking. So if I have, received response from someone, received details about something from somebody, should I respond back to that email or shall I just close it? Just leave it be. Once they send me the information, whatever I require, should I just leave it there? So this is an answer for that. If you are sending in an email of inquiry, if you had sought help from somebody for something, thank the sender before you give any sort of response. Okay, so this one, I think it's more like that is one part. Now this part is when, say, you are a vendor, right? For example, say you are a vendor and I am, writing an email to you for some kind of an inquiry. When you send a reply back to me, right? You are the vendor and I am the person who's inquiring. When you send an email back to me, right, responding to my inquiry, you would first thank me because you are the vendor, right? And I'm the customer. I'm the one who wants it. So you are going to send me a thank you line first before you actually send me the details of the product or gadget or whatever I want to inquire about, right? So this is something like, the sentence would look like, thank you for writing to us, or thank you for inquiring about the product with us. Here are the details for the gadget or the product that you sought an information about. This is what it is. Okay.
All
So
right,
this is
ma'am.
basically
Understood. Understood. Actually, I have a follow-up question here. Last
okay.
month, I had sent a query regarding a summer internship to a professor in
Okay.
USA. He
Mhm.
replied that he expects all students to apply to that, but I just responded with emoji. Like Gmail has the feature to, just
Hmm.
just like we react to a message in WhatsApp. Email
Hmm.
also has that feature right
Yeah,
now.
I've seen that.
So I
Hmm.
responded that way because what I thought is it adds up to their inbox like an additional email to check.
Hmm.
So what's your take on this? Like, what should we actually do? Just respond with a thumbs up email, a thumbs up emoticon,
I would say
or
no.
send a thank you.
I would say
Yes,
no. In
yes,
professional setups, because you're writing for an
yeah.
internship, right? So in professional
Hmm.
setups, you do not use emojis, right? Even if it is
Okay.
a part of the, even if they have added this thing as a stock in the Gmail. See,
Hmm.
why did Gmail add that feature? Because emails are also used for semi-formal, informal purposes, right? They're not always
Right.
used for professional communication. It is
Hmm.
also used for professional communication. Okay.
Hmm.
Since people also use it for sending forth this informal and semi-formal messages, they have put in this feature of emoji. But the context is what makes the use of emoji or for that matter any other abbreviation, so on and so forth, problematic. So this is like a very formal thing that you are writing to somebody for an internship, right? This person is not known to you, that person is not your friend, right? And this is more like a formal communication that's going on. In formal communications you do not use emojis at all. Okay.
All right, ma'am.
So,
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah,
I would make sure
please do
not to
not do
repeat
that
that
next
again.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Never do that. Never respond to anybody who is, in above in the hierarchy, or even if they're your same level. If the relation that you share with that person is more formal in nature, please avoid using any kind of emojis. Okay.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. Right. Now, quickly between professional tone and language, I think we discussed this, but let's just go through the slides. Formal language would definitely be less personal. It's going to be used for professional or academic purposes. It uses an objective tone, right? Informal, on the other hand, is going to be casual and spontaneous, right? Like your day-to-day conversations. They usually used when writing to friends or relatives, and there's going to be a lot of use of personal tone. Okay, it says impersonal. This is not impersonal. This has to be personal. Okay, so these are by and large the features. Simple. I think this is basically a repetition of what we looked at in the second slide of the PPT. This one is very, very important. This part, instances of informal language. So we now know what is formal language and how it looks, but what are the instances? So like right now you asked a question about emoji, right? So just like emojis, you also have expressions in languages which can make your writing informal or non-professional. Okay. Non-professional because it is informal. So what you see on the screen is a set of examples of how your language can become informal, right? First is group jargons. Now, group jargons, what are group jargons? Group jargons are any kind of in-group specialized language. What does in-group specialized language mean?
Like any group has fixed that we will say something like this. So
Yeah.
no,
So I do
inside.
not know. Okay. I do not know if you're aware of this. IIT Madras, for example. Okay, that I think that example we'll say for later. Say in our organization, right? When the organization that manages your online BSc program, there are several backend teams involved here, right? So there is a QP team, there is a support team, and then there's a translation team. There are several teams that form this organization, right? Now, the communication between people within one section of this organization, say, let's say the question paper team, right? People who have handled the question papers for all the courses across all the 3 years of your program. They will have some kind of a specialized language to communicate with each other. Like, for example, to give you a simple example, the expression question paper. A lot of people who work in the question paper team, and this is a real life example, this happens here, they do not use the word question paper. They would say QP. Okay, have you sent in the QP for English 1? Have you received the QP for CT? Right, so again, CT, right? People do not know what CT means, right? Only people who work in that organization or people who are like maybe partakers of that will know this is computational thinking. So imagine these people talking to someone who doesn't belong to the setup at all in that language. Say, did you receive the QP for CT? Now people don't know what is QP and what is CT, right? So this is the usage of these kind of language is called as group jargons. Group jargons because this is something that is available and understood only by people who belong to that small group. Okay, this is not universal language. People do not understand that QP means question paper in the universal realm or CT means computational thinking in the universal realm, right? In professional writing, group jargons are supposed to be avoided. Okay, you do not use any kind of group jargons because it can bring in confusions and ambiguity, right? So that's the first instance of informal language. Second instance of informal language includes usage of slangs, idiomatic expressions, and colloquial expressions, also known as colloquialism. So look at the examples here. These are examples from English and Tamil. And Tamil examples because we have seen emails from co-workers here who have used these expressions, right? So the first one, you all, right? You all is like a shorthand. It's more like a internet slang, social media slang than an actual formal expression. ASAP, right? Please send in the QP ASAP, right? ASAP, okay, maybe people know, but then ASAP is not a formal expression. It's not considered good to use expressions like this in formal writing. Then comes words like macha, semma, akka, anna, right? These are all Tamil expressions, slangs and idiomatic expressions, which people use unfortunately when they write professional emails. These are also, now you will have your own versions of this in the languages that you speak, right? I have seen people, there's one expression that I've always, that is always, I found it very strange. What was stranger is that they've translated that part into English, right? So, greetings with folded hands. Okay, now greeted with folded hands to somebody who is not from the Indian context, even to people who are in the Indian context will not understand what it means, right? What is greetings with folded hands? Okay, so this is basically someone from, I think a Hindi speaker who basically meant to say Haath Jodkar Namaste, ya Haath Jodkar Namaskar, right? Which has been translated into English as greetings with folded hand. Now, someone who is not culturally a part of this realm will not understand that. And it will sound like really, really funny. You know, what do we mean by greetings with folded hands? Someone who is not from our culture, Okay, people who, or say even for someone who's from India but is not from that part of the country will not understand what that means, right? So these kind of expressions can bring in, again, just like group jargons, confusions and ambiguities. So avoid any such expressions. Use standard expressions that you can, that everybody everywhere can relate to and can understand, right? So avoid all sorts of slangs, idiomatic expressions, colloquialisms. Third instance of informal language, stereotypical and biased language. Now, stereotype, what is stereotype? Any idea?
Ma'am, it's a thought, ma'am. We think about that type of thought, fixed thought,
Yeah,
already
fixed thought.
in our mind. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you know, examples of stereotype. Can you think of something?
Ma'am, like boys are not emotional, girls are very emotional.
Okay. Boys don't cry. This stereotype.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is one very gender-based stereotype. You know, very gender stereotyping, as it is called. Boys don't cry, or men don't cry. Okay. More importantly, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Stereotypes are any statements which are basically products of social constructions, right? They have got no scientific, you know, no scientific merit to it. It's something that is a social construction. That's something that has come up because of people's social conditioning, right? So that these are called stereotypical beliefs, and sometimes our stereotypical beliefs can reflect in the way we write, right? Because of these thought processes and what we have been fed since we were conditioned in the society that we're born into. A lot of stereotypes come into us, and because of the stereotypes, we end up being more biased and prejudiced, right? And this bias and prejudice can be seen either in the case of gender, or in the case of class, or caste, or race, or ethnicity, or disability, right? Any social category can be wrought with the biases because of the stereotypical beliefs that exist in any society, not just ours, societies around the world, right? So in professional writing, but you are not allowed to use any of these, right? You have to keep aside all your stereotypes and beliefs and biases out of professional writing, right? One needs to be really, really careful of using language that is more gender neutral, something that is not, sensitive for people of a certain social category, say a race or ethnicity, or, disability, or class or caste, like I mentioned, right? You need to ensure that the language is sensitive to social categories, that you do not write outrageous sentences, or don't write, something that cannot be scientifically verified, right? Do not push through your stereotype or your beliefs through your writing, right? All of this is very, very important in professional writing, to keep out all of that from your professional write-ups. I have just provided examples of gender biases and stereotypes. Right now, I don't have expressions related to race or class or ethnicity and all that. But let's see if we can find them. Right now, we'll work with the examples that we have for gender stereotypes and bias. So, mankind, manpower, chairman, man-made, right? You will find this mostly biased towards the male gender, and there's a reason for that, because all of these words are something that is that are seen in workspaces, right? So we know the workspaces initially were mostly this is from the time when women were in part of the workforce as such, right? So this is not to blame, but it has happened that way because fortunately or unfortunately, men were more in number in the workforce around at that time, right? So obviously the language catered to them, because it was men talking to other men. So obviously the language has to look like that. But now that the workforce or the work settings have been more neutralized, that now women have more entry into these spaces, people think that, using language that is, gender biased, or something that looks like, that something that feels exclusive, right, or non-inclusive should be worked upon, right? So instead of say mankind or manpower or chairman, you use more neutral terms, right? So the head is a woman. So calling a woman a chairman doesn't make sense, right? Because women can also be heads of things these days. So instead of saying something like chairman, you can use a more neutral word like a head, okay, or simply the chair. Instead of man, you simply say the chair of the meeting or the chair of the council, rather than saying chairman, right? Similarly, for man-made, manpower, mankind, you can replace them with words that are more gender neutral, okay? So that's the idea here. Fourth instance, usage of phrasal verbs. Now, phrasal verbs are something that are more dominantly used in speech and conversations than in writing, but that does not mean that phrasal verbs are not used in formal writing at all. What you need to ensure is that you don't use informal phrasal verbs, right? Like, for example, the one that you see on screen. These are very informal expressions that's used in conversations, okay? They're not suitable for writing. You need to look for phrasal verbs which are more formal in nature and then use them in the writing. Okay, so avoid informal phrasal verbs. And last thing, contracted words or contractive forms. I'll, you have, she is. So instead of writing I apostrophe LL, the contractive form, in professional writing, you always write it expanded, right? You say I will, you have, she is or she was, right? Not she apostrophe S, she's, you've apostrophe V, the apostrophe VE, you have. You write you have, right? So contractive forms or contractions are also considered informal in professional writing. Okay. Any questions from this part?
What's the meaning of duck out of?
Sorry, which one?
Duck out of phrasal verb.
Duck out. What does duck out mean? Try to guess the meaning. What is duck? Do you watch cricket? What is duck?
No, I don't.
No idea. Okay, duck out basically means to leave a place, without informing. Right? When someone quickly leaves a place without informing anybody, that's called ducking out. Duck out of a situation means, leave silently without informing anything. Okay?
Okay,
That
ma'am.
is
Get
duck
it. Thank
out.
you.
Sorry?
Sorry,
Okay,
ma'am.
get it.
My question is other than the topic.
Sorry?
My question is other than the topic. Where can I find the recording of the today's session and previous one as well? Because I missed those.
I don't know about previous session because I don't think there was anything that I have conducted. This one you will find in the calendar. There will be a playlist that would be, you will find a link, playlist link that will have all.
Ma'am, in the calendar there is only Gmeet.
Right now they will not upload because the sessions are still going on, right? Once the sessions are done, they'll upload the recordings. I mean the playlist.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we're going to start with the first part of the email, right? Now we are done with the, the technical discussions on that. Now we're going to look at what the strategies of writing would or how it should be done. We are going to first look at the salutation part of the email. So the beginning part of the email, right, which is a salutation, we're going to look at both the format and the formality patterns involved in writing a salutation. So the first one that you have here is a situation wherein the email is written to one person. Okay. Please see the slide carefully. Situation for writing salutation of an email written to one person, right? The scale that you say there, more formal and less formal, this is basically a scale of formality, which means ranging from more formal to less formal. You have those 4 expressions that we use to coin a salutation for a professional email written to one person. Okay. So what is the most formal?
Dear Mr. Selvam and Miss
Yes.
Selvam.
So correct. Dear Mr. Selvam or Mrs. or Miss Selvi, right? So can you derive the formula for writing this then from what you see on screen? What do you think is the most formal method of writing a salutation when writing to one person?
First one. Dear Mr.
Yes,
or
I get that. I'm asking you for a skeleton for that. If I ask you what would be a skeleton, this one is with name, right? Without that?
dear, then Mr. or Miss or
Mr. and Mrs.
Beginning with dear, right? Dear is very important formal expression in English. Creates a lot of confusion for Indians because we consider dear as a term of endearment. But dear is a formal expression in the English world. So, dear followed by
Mr. Miss or
so what is that
Mrs.
called? What is that called? Title, right? Title, the person's title, right? So now instead of title, you sometimes people also use the person's profession, right? Like for example, you say dear professor, dear doctor, dear advocate, so on and so forth, right? So title, dear followed by the title, then
the name.
how about the name? Okay, this I think you'll need help. You don't know what this one would be. So in the most formal expression, you will say dear followed by title. You can either use the last name of the person or the full name of the person. Okay, please look at your chat. I have given the skeletal for the first one, the most formal one, right? Dear followed by title, followed by either the last name of the person or the full name of the person. So if I take my example, then dear Miss Paul or dear Miss Lida Paul. Okay, both of them should be okay for the most formal sort of salutation, right, when writing to one person. The next one that you see, again, it has dear followed by what? Do you see a title there? Dear Selvam Selvi. Do they have a title? No.
No.
Okay, the second expression doesn't, the second salutation doesn't have a title. It simply has dear and then the name of the person, right? So, dear and then the first name of the person. That is the second one. Next one is hello, followed by the first name or full name. Okay, actually the first one, the second one that we wrote can also have full name. Dear first name or dear full name, then hello first name or full name. Then the last one is hi first name. Okay, so these are the four different methods. Please make a note, the second one can also be full name. Okay, so dear first name or dear full name. Okay, these are the four different salutations that you can use, ranging from most formal to less or the least formal one. Okay, this is when you're writing professional email, your salutation for writing an email to one person, ranging from the most formal expression to the least formal expression. Most formal would be dear followed by title, the last name of the person or the full name of the person. A little lesser than that, a little less formal than this one would be dear and the first name or dear and the full name, right? Lesser formal than that would be hello first name or hello full name. The least formal among all of them would be hi and the first name of the person. With hi, usually you don't use full name. Hi Lida Paul is not something that makes sense. If you're using hi, it means that you're familiar with the person. It's more like an informal conversation. So usually you will prefer using the first name of the person. Okay, got it? This is the salutation for writing email to one person, ranging from the most formal to the least formal. Got it?
Ma'am, actually, I have a doubt here. How do we know that we have to use that MRS Mrs. or MS Mrs.?
MRS Mrs. or MS. Mrs.
Yeah.
is usually used for, actually Mrs. is quite obsolete now when you write emails to women. These days people do not prefer using Mrs. Okay. So you either use Miss, MS without a dot and or MS, MS dot or MISS. The preferable one is MS dot. Okay. MIS is basically it means that you're writing to an unmarried woman. But again, that expression is not something that is used very commonly these days. People keep it Miss, MS dot, which could mean whether they are married or unmarried. Doesn't matter. Okay. Or more importantly, it shouldn't matter to the person who's writing whether that person is married or unmarried. So we are using it in the same sense as Mr., right? So like for men, whether married or unmarried, you're going to say Mr. Similarly, for women married or unmarried, you're simply going to say Miss, MS dot. Okay. Initially, people used to write MISS to show that somebody is unmarried. But then these days, how do you know? You're writing to a total stranger. How do you know of their marital status? So the formal expression is to say MS. Okay. Mrs. also is not necessary.
Okay, ma'am. So the MRS is for married people.
MRS is definitely for marital, but again, see, I think I should remove that here because these days people don't prefer that. Like, you know, your marital status should not be important for anything. So let's say we just keep it as Mr. and Miss. Okay, not you just avoid Mrs. Okay.
All right, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. It's good that you asked. Okay, so this is how you draft 4 different ways of, you know, drafting the salutation when written to one person in a professional email, right? Then you have professional email when written to several people, okay? How do you write it when you're writing to several people? This is quite simple, right? The most formal would include dear followed by all, right? Dear all, right? If you are writing to several people. A little lesser formal than that would be hello everyone. Okay. Hello everyone would be the next one. In fact, this hello everyone and hi everyone is almost the same. Okay, so you could either say hello everyone or hi everyone, right? It's not very different from each other. If you have to strictly make that distinction, then maybe people can say hi is like the least formal. But I think that is a forced distinction. Hello and hi in this case shouldn't mean very different from each other, right? So this is to your discretion. I leave it up to you. If you want to use hi as the least formal one, then do it that way. But according to me, hello and hi wouldn't make much of a difference. It should be okay to use either of these. Okay. Then writing an email to someone whose name is not known. Okay. We have several situations where you do not know the name of the person. Okay. Or instances where you do not know whether you're writing to sir or madam. Right. I think these days it could be even more complicated with, too many gender distinctions being in place, right? So we don't know if it is sir or madam or anything other than sir or madam. What distinctions do they use for that? These are all evolving terms, right? Right now we do not have. We do, but then they're not popularized as yet. So to be safe, we simply write dear sir or madam, right? If there are more terms that are evolving as far as the gender categorization is concerned, then that also needs to be taken care of. But to begin with, it is usually dear sir or madam when you do not know who you're writing to. And make sure that you write it as dear sir or madam. Please do not write dear please do not write dear sir. Please look at your chat. Dear sir or madam. That is, don't use that slash. Okay, dear sir / madam. Right? Please use the word OR to completely write that thing. Okay, never use that slash.
Why,
Ma'am, can you elaborate why not use slash?
Yeah, see, the reason being, remember we talked about this, that we cannot use symbols in professional emails, right? So this, when you use a symbol, the symbol can have multiple meanings. They do not have a universal meaning. Look at a slash can have several other meanings, right? So since we cannot use symbols in professional write-ups, we avoid that, and instead of that use a word. You substitute it with a word. Okay. Then less formal, hello, right? Hello or hi, right? Wherein you don't put any name, right? In a formal setup, you will have to say dear sir or madam. But if it is a less formal setup, less formal email, then you don't even have to put any thing there, right? You simply say hello or hi and done with it. Okay. Don't have to put any addressee's name also. So that is when
Ma'am,
writing an email.
should we write hello there or hi there?
No. Hello there or hi there is not. That's an internet slang. This is all originated from the internet chat boxes. We don't use that for email. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Right. Then this is what is this additional instruction? If you know someone very well, use hello and hi without the person's name. Yeah. So if you're writing to somebody who you have a lot of familiarity with, right? You know them really well. If that is the case, then you can most of the times take the decision of omitting the name, right? Addressing them using a name is unnecessary if you know this person very well. If your familiarity level is very high, you can use simply say hi or hello, like you would do in your day-to-day life, right? Hi, hello, that's all. Don't have to address the person with the name. But do this only if you know the person really well and if you're both at the same level in an organization, right? Even if you're familiar with the person, but still if that person is, say, your coordinator or someone who's above the hierarchy in the organization where you work, maybe your friend, but somebody who's a senior at the workspace, then please do not use this hello and hi in professional emails. Only to your colleagues, the ones who are at your same level, and with the ones who you are friends with or you have high familiarity, you can use this hello hi thing. Okay. Otherwise, please keep it the way that we have discussed already. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have some exercise here now, but this one, let me see if I need to take you to this one. No. This is 5:42 now, so I think I'm going to stop the discussion of the next 15 minutes. I think it's better that we work on some questions. So just a moment, I'm going to stop sharing this PPT with you now because we don't need it anymore. I'm going to share a link with you now so that you can work on those questions at your end. Please allow me a moment. I'll just go to that slide and send you the link for that. Just a moment. Okay. I am not doing the, should I do the graded mode or no, let's keep it practice, which should be better. I'll copy the link for you in the chat. You can access the page from there, okay? Okay. Okay, yeah, please look at your chat box for the link. Please access this file using that, okay? And confirm once you're able to see the screen. I can see when you join, but in case you're facing...
Yes, ma'am, it's accessible.
Accessible?
It's accessible.
Okay.
Yes.
You also
Yes,
have
ma'am.
space to write, right? Does
Sorry,
it also
ma'am?
show you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No, I was asking if it is allowing you a space to write the answer. Okay. So you can work on this question then. So this is about salutation. There are 5 different situations given to you. Please read through that situation and write down appropriate salutations for each of these situations, right? First one is a colleague messages you to ask if you are free for lunch. So this is a situation you have to come up with a salutation to that fits this kind of a email situation. Just write it down. I can see what you're writing at my end. No problem. What is the time now? 5:45. This shouldn't take a lot of time. 2-3 minutes. Please work on this. Answer all the 5 questions and then we can discuss.
Ma'am, do we need to write in structure format?
Write it as you will. Yeah, structured format. Yes, structured format basically means what comes first, then next, and then next. That's what
Okay.
the way we discussed it. So. You needn't use a name. You can maybe replace the name with XYZ or ABC or something. You don't want to it. Or write the name. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is. Okay, are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Why did you write an email? Someone has written an email. You are not supposed to write an email. You're only required to write a salutation for the email. Not we are not yet at the writing email part. That would come later. Right now, only the salutation. Okay, the ones who are writing email, please don't. Okay, we don't need the email. Only the salutation. Okay. Anyway, the first one, I think most of the people have written hi, dear, hello, hello, hi, and name, hello, my name. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, what is the answer? This is a colleague messages you to ask if you're free for lunch. Is this a formal situation or a informal or less formal situation?
Less
Informal.
formal.
Informal situation, less formal.
Yeah, it's an informal situation, right? So you're going to say hi or hello. Both should be okay. Hi, hello, hi XYZ, hello XYZ, or simply say XYZ. That is also fine, right? Simply say XYZ. Are you free for lunch? That is also fine. So hi XYZ, hello XYZ, or simply say XYZ, or simply say hi or hello. Any of these four options are okay as far as the answer to this one is concerned. Okay. This is an informal one, right? So any of those will work. Second one, someone who you do not know writes to you to ask for a job. What did you write? Let me check. Dear sir or madam, okay. Dear sir or madam, hello, first name. Dear name, okay. So this one is what? This is formal or informal? Someone who you do not know writes to you to ask for a job.
Formal, ma'am.
Formal. This is extremely formal, right?
Yes,
Because there is, see, remember what makes the situation formal? Your lack of familiarity with the person is what makes a situation more formal, right? So you're writing to someone who you do not know, and the purpose is to ask for a job. Both of these, this unfamiliarity and the nature of the help that you're seeking, makes it very formal. So then the salutation will have to be the first one, right? Which is dear, followed by title, followed by first name or full name. Okay. But in this case, since you do not know who you are writing to, you can replace it with what? Dear, sir or madam, right? If you knew the person's name, then the first case applies. But since you do not know who the person is, you replace it with dear, sir or madam. Okay. All right. So that is for this one. And then the next one is your colleague emails you for the transfer of an urgently required document. Is this a formal situation or an informal situation?
Formal situation.
Formal, right? Somebody has written, hi, buddy. This is a formal situation. Even if it is your colleague and you know the person well, the situation demands more formality because this is an urgent situation. This is more formal in nature. So we can save buddy for later time. This is formal. So you're going to address the person in at least semi-formal way. Okay. So let's say what, dear Mr. Please, even if you don't use Mr., still, yeah, Mr. is also fine. Dear first name. Okay. Then what are the other answers? Dear and your name. Why will you write your name? It has to be the person's name. Then what else? Okay, there are some people who haven't written, but okay. Third one, dear. You either say dear Mr. XYZ or dear XYZ. Yeah, right. So you may or may not use the title. Dear is important. You have to mention dear, followed by either the name of the person, right? Or first name of the person or the title, Mr. or Miss, and then the name of the person. Or sometimes you can simply write dear colleague also. Okay. Dear colleague is also possible in situations like this. Simply write dear colleague. Okay. Fourth situation was A journalist writes to you to know the details of a workshop that your organization would conduct. So what is it? Formal, informal?
Formal, ma'am.
Formal. Why is it formal? Does the journalist know you?
No, ma'am.
No, right? So this is somebody who's writing to seek information and then there's no direct contact between you. And this is more formal. They're seeking some kind of information from you. It's more formal in nature. Because the person is not a part of your organization, not a colleague. Okay. So it's an outsider, hence that makes the situation formal. So what will be the salutation like?
Dear.
Dear is definitely important, then followed by
Sir or
title.
madam.
Dear sir or madam, if you don't know the person's name, or alternatively, you can also, if you know the name, then dear, title followed by last name or full name, right?
Dear Mr. XYZ or Miss
Yes,
XYZ.
yes. Correct. Okay. Now, the last one, you have to write an email to confirm your colleague's presence for an internal meeting. Formal, informal, what is this?
Informal.
Informal.
Right? Formal.
Informal.
Formal, or you can say semi-formal. Okay, this is not informal because this is again your colleague. Colleague means this is something, the internal meeting is basically some meeting that you need to do with your colleague in the organization.
Ma'am, by the colleague in my mind again and again processing of my college friends, college classmates.
College classmates are not your colleagues. Okay, colleagues are different. Colleagues are basically people who work with you, right? The ones who are your co-workers.
Yes,
Classmates are different,
ma'am.
right? Classmates, the boundary of formality is quite blurred when it comes to that. And
Yes,
it's mostly based on how you address somebody is based on your likes or dislikes for them. That's not the case with professional settings, right? So your choice or your preference don't matter there. It's about you by default having to maintain some kind of professionalism because it's a workplace. So colleagues are people who work with you.
Okay.
So this one, what would be, this is more like a semi-formal situation if you ask me. So what are you going to use? You can use the same thing, right? You can say dear colleagues. That's one way. Or you can, since there are many people here now, right? There's not one person. So you can simply say dear all, or dear colleagues, right? You don't say hi all and hi colleagues and all that because this is a semi-formal situation. This is not an informal situation. Okay, this is not you asking them out for lunch. This is basically confirming their presence for an internal meeting. So this is official, that is. So dear, okay, dear colleagues or dear all. Okay, so that is that. Next one, this is an easy exercise. Look at the following ways of beginning an email. Number them from 1 to 4 according to how formal you think the beginnings are. 1 is the most formal and 4 is the least formal. So what would be the order from 1 to 4? If 1 is most formal and 4
2,
is
1, 3,
2, 1?
2, 1, 3, 4.
2, 1, 3, 4. Yeah, most of you? 2, 1, 3, 4? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 2, 1, 3, 4. So, dear Mrs. Rafia, dear Satya, hi Lal and Sheila. Yes, 2, 1, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, now, this is the last exercise we're going to do for today. I don't want you to write it down now because it's already like 6. So let's just discuss, okay? We got the goods yesterday. How can you convert the sentence or how can you rewrite the sentence in a more formal style?
The goods reached to us yesterday.
No, we don't have to change the structure of the sentence so much. We'll have to focus on expressions or words that we have used in the sentence. A little bit of change to them can actually make the sentence formal. Okay, I'll do the first one for you. You think about how you can do the rest of them. So we got the goods yesterday. I'll change the verb got to receive, right? So we received the goods yesterday. I'll change the word goods to products. So we received the products yesterday. Some people will also change yesterday to the previous day. but I don't think that is really important. As far as you can change the verb got and the noun goods to more formal expressions of received and product, the sentence will sound more formal, right? So we received the products yesterday, or we received the products the previous day. Yesterday, the previous day, that is not really important, but if you want, you can change that as well. Okay, that's how you rewrite sentences in formal style. You simply change the words which look a little informal, right? Second one, let's look at the second one together. Then we want to ask about your new product.
We would like to ask about your new product.
Yes, very good. We would like to. Do we say ask?
We would like to
Yes,
ask about your new. We would like to know more about your new product.
Okay. We would like to. Anybody? Any other answers? We would like to. No.
I would love to have some information about your new product.
Not I would love to. You can keep it like you were saying. We would like to. We would like to is like the standard formal expression when you want to ask, when you want to seek information about something or ask something of someone. So we would like to inquire, right? You change the verb ask, which is a little less formal, to the formal version of that, which is inquire. We would like to inquire about your new product. Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, we are interested to know about your new product.
We are interested to know about your new product is also maybe not as formal as this one. We would like to inquire about your new product is like the maximum formality that you can bring in to make it sound professional. Okay. To know about and all that would also be like still know as a verb also is like a more it's a less formal expression. Okay. Third one, we are sorry that the order was late.
We are.
We are sorry. We are. Yes. Okay. Fine. If you have to change that contractive form, then you'll have to write we are. Besides that,
we apologize for the order delivered late. Right?
You're right. The first part is right. We apologize or we regret, right? Apologize.
Or the inconvenience.
Not for the inconvenience. So that's what you don't change the sentence entirely, right? We need to still keep the information intact. So we apologize is fine, or we can alternatively also say we regret, right? So we apologize that the order was delayed, right? You can change late to delayed. You will see this messages very often. Sometimes if your Amazon or Flipkart order gets a little bit late, they send you an email, right? Saying that, sorry, apologies for the delay in the delivery of the product. So this one. So you either say we apologize that the order was delayed, or we regret that the order is or was delayed, right? Okay. Fourth one, this is an interesting one. Let me know if the date is okay. Let me know if the date is okay.
Check if the date is correct and inform me.
This is not check. Let me know if the date is okay. So the problem with let me know if the date is okay is that this is an imperative sentence. So in professional writing, we usually do not draft sentences that are imperative, right? Something that sounds like a command or, order. So let me know if the date is okay. This needs to be changed to something that is more polite and, formal.
Can you please check the date?
Can you please check the date? Okay, one way could be to convert the sentence into a question, right? But then if you're converting it into a question, then you're going to use, again, more polite expressions, right? Is the date fine with you? Okay. Is the date fine with you is semi-formal. Okay. Can be accepted. But if I have to make it more formal, then could you please let me know if the date is fine with you? This is one way of writing it down, right? If you have to make it more formal. But if I'm not using the question format and if I want to keep it more in the sentence format, then what would I write?
Could you please let
me know if the date is okay. If it is not in the question format, you can say, please confirm with me if the dates are fine with you. Okay. Please confirm with me if the dates are fine with you. Okay, this is how you can write it when you want to keep it in the sentence format and not convert it into a question. Okay.
Ma'am, would it be a right way? Could you please inform me if the date is okay? Would that be right?
Could you please inform me? No, it's better to say, could you please confirm, or could you please write to me if the date is okay or if the dates are okay? Not okay, dates are fine with you. The dates would be comfortable for you or convenient for you. These are all fine. Okay, not inform.
All right.
Okay. Fifth one, if you need any more help, this is not a full sentence. It's just the beginning of what we call as a complementary clause in an email. If you need any more help, how do you convert this into a formal sentence?
I tried it, ma'am. It was like you can reach out to us when you need any help.
But only if, say you don't write it as a full sentence, only this part of the sentence. If you need any more help.
It's a bit tricky.
How will you change need? How can you change the word need? Need, a formal word for need would be?
If you require.
Require. Require. So if you require any more help, can you change any more to something else? Or more? Let any be there.
If you require any help.
Require any help, okay. Can I write if you require further any more?
Assistance.
Can we take it further, right? Yeah, further assistance. So help becomes assistance. If you require further assistance, please write to me, or so on and so forth, right? Now there is another, most formal expression for the same thing. So if you require further assistance is like your semi-formal expression, or it's that is also considered formal. But some people like to go a step ahead with formality, right? So they would write, should you need any assistance? Okay. Should you need any assistance, or should you need any further assistance? Please write back to me on so and so. Okay. So 3 levels. This is like the informal way. The first formal method would be if you require any assistance, or if you require further assistance, that is the first formal way. The most formal would be, should you require any further assistance? This is like the most formal, like the ceiling for all the, formal expressions.
Yeah, ma'am, can you explain why this is the most formal? Because it sounds, it feels like a bit grammatically wrong, right?
No.
It just feels like.
I don't know why it sounds wrong to you, but this is an absolutely grammatical, fully used expression. Should you require, I don't know if maybe you're not familiar with it, but if you look at certain signboards in these foreign countries, especially at the government offices in their places, they have these kind of internal posters put up. Should you require any further assistance, please contact the clerk at table number so. Okay, they write this down there. So this is a formal expression. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. The last one here, I can't wait to see you. This is definitely not a formal sentence. I can't wait to see you. In the email context, if you can think about it, this is also called as a closing remark. This kind of sentences, these sentences are also called as the closing remarks in an email. I can't wait to see you. How do you write it formally? I can't wait to see you. I Not looking forward to see you. Yes, you're right, but you will have to rephrase it. I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you. Okay, that is how you convert the sentence into a formal expression suitable for a professional email. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think it's better we close for today. It's already 6:10. I don't want to hold you further. I think there are people who have other classes. Ananya already left. So we'll continue from this tomorrow. I think tomorrow we are going to look at subject line. So we are going to take up this one. We'll start with subject line and we'll also look at the complementary clause tomorrow. And we'll work out the questions for that in tomorrow's class. Okay, 4 to 6. Same time tomorrow. All right. Thank you then for coming to the
Thank you,
session.
ma'am.
I hope you can join
Thank you,
tomorrow as
ma'am.
well.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sure. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, ma'am.